Hi Stampers, this is Kim with Great Inspirations. Thanks for joining me. Today we are going back to basics. We are going to make S.I.P cards. Do you know what S.I.P stands for? It simply stands for stamps, inks, and papers. And today those are the elements we are going to use, very basic elements, to create these cards. But some people feel that using only stamps, inks, and papers can be very boring, create very boring cards. That's not the case. So today we are going to add some zip to our S.I.P cards. And here we go. You see this card? It's very cute. And for it, I just added some colors and a little personal touch. Now for this card, I zipped it up by using some dimension and the placement of some of the stamped images. And for this card, I offset the focal panel and I used multiples of images to give it just that little extra something. Now, I have a confession to make. On this card I cheated, and I didn't even realize it till the card was made. If you see this, this is a die cut, but this was in my scrap box, and I thought, oh, that will be perfect for the focal panel. I made the card, did my blog post, got ready to do this video, and I realized, oh my gosh, I broke my own rule. But you know what? In card making, there really are no rules. So I'm going to let this one slide this time. But in my blog, I will give you the dimensions for this rectangle. So if you don't have a die, you don't have to worry about it. Okay? So let's get on with putting these cards together. Now we'll do this one first, because I think one of the easiest ways to add some zip to your cards is to add some different colors, and that's what we're going to do. So as you see, I have my little owl here. He's all stamped, and he comes from the Bird's Eye View stamp set by Stampin' Up. He's right here. And then I added some glasses. They're right there. And put him atop these books, and they're right there. So I colored him in. Now for me, ink means you can use an ink pad, you can use Stampin' Write markers, which are dye-based ink markers, or you can use alcohol markers such as Stampin' Blends. And I use Stampin' Blends to color him in. And excuse me, he's a cute little owl, and he's on these books, but as you can see on here, I added a personal touch. So adding a personal touch, something that you've done yourself or something that you know someone will like, for example, a specific color theme. But for here, I just wrote titles on the book. So I'm going to write on here some titles. And don't worry about your handwriting. And don't worry if you don't even get the whole title on. It'll be okay. They'll get the idea. So I put Humpty Dumpty. I didn't have enough room for T. So there's Humpty Dumpty. Now, what else can we put on here? On here I've got Hamlet and Great Expectations and Tom Sawyer. So let's see. I don't know. I can't think of any right off the top of my head. So we'll just leave that as is for now, and I'll come back and add some titles later. So here, I'm just going to add a little adhesive. Add our focal panel. And that's ready to go. As you can see, I have a panel in here for the inside where I've stamped our owl. Put it inside our card. There's that. Now we're going to add these. And what I did, I sort of just looked, thought, okay, where does this look good? And you can center this crushed curry onto the cherry cobbler. You can put it down here a little ways and then just decide. I like that. I think we'll go with that for this card. So we'll just get this right on here. Our crushed curry. Drop it down just a little. And then I have some adhesive stuck to my finger and pulled off some of the cardstock. And we'll put him right there. And there's our card. Like I said, I need to go back and add some titles on the books, but that's just part of that personalization. Or you could even put, see, I thought this would be a good card for back to school. You could even put the child's names on those books if you'd like. So there's that card, just adding some personalization and some color. Plus, this also helps you use up some scraps if you have some bigger scraps of cardstock. So let's move on to this one, where we're going to use placement and some dimension. And for this, I have crushed curry yet again. And it may seem a little more involved, but it doesn't take that long. Here's the inside. Happy birthday. And I've stamped the little worker and its balloons. And this comes from the stamp set called Construction Zone. And here that is. So here's our little man and the balloons. And we'll be using Birthday Zone, the package, the cones, this nice little bar, and the forklift. So, as I said, I've stamped him on here and colored him in with the Stampin' Blends. Now, these images right here, they are small enough. If you want to use, if you have Stampin' Right markers, you can use those. You will get a good result because the images are small. But I use my Stampin' Blends because that's what I had out at the moment. So there is the inside. And then for the outside, you're going to want to stamp 2 of these little like bars and 2 of the cones, the balloons, and 6 packages. But you only color in 3. And then there are no dies for this stamp set or for any of the stamp sets I'm using today. So you'll fussy cut these out. Now when you go to fussy cut these, the ones that are not colored, you don't have to bother with fussy cutting around the ribbon. Okay, and I'll show you what we're going to do with those. First of all, I've got all my little bits and pieces here. And I've stamped the front end loader and I've stamped the little man. Now if you look, and I think this one is probably the best, I have stamped him not quite level with the forklift. It's down the page a little bit and he's up just a tiny bit. That gives the illusion that he is standing a little bit behind. So I colored these in and I'm going to put this on its mat. Get it on there. And I'm going to go ahead and put it on the card base. You don't have to, but because we're going to be adding some dimension to some of these images, for me, it just is easier. There we go. Now I'm going to get out my silicone craft sheet because I need to use some liquid glue. You can use any kind of adhesive that you care to use. We're going to glue these little bars one along the top of the greeting and one below. Here we go. And then we'll take the second one. Put that below. And now we're going to take the balloons, and I'm going to put a dimensional across the top of the balloons. But I'm going to put just a little dab of glue down here. And what that will do, that will put the balloon strings in his hand, but it pops up the balloons and lets it look like they're floating. Okay, now we need to do the cones. And this one, I'm just going to use a little bit of glue, put it on. It might be a little too much. Let me get, there we go. And I'm going to put it sort of above the man's feet, so it looks like it's behind him. There we go. And because it's fussy cut, even though it's just glued flat to the page, there is a teeny tiny bit of dimension there. And now we're going to take our dimensionals and some scissors and the other cone, and I'm going to cut just a teeny tiny sliver of dimensional off of here, off the side. I'm going to add it to the back of the cone, and I probably have it too long. But that's okay because we can cut it off. It doesn't want to stick. There we go. Cut off the excess, take off the backing, and then we'll put this cone down in front of our little man. Try not to get it crooked. And there we go. There's some dimension for that. And now for the packages. So you can put these packages on wherever you like, in whatever order you like. And as you can see on this one, I turned the ribbon one way, just for some fun. So I'm going to put a dimensional on the first package that we're going to put down. And that will go right there on the forklift. Now for the next one, those little packages I told you about cutting out, these right here that aren't colored, we are going to adhere those together. Because when we adhere these together and then put them on the back of our second package, that will give us a little bit of dimension, not quite what a dimensional will give us, but just a little lift. So there's two together, and now the third one, and then we're going to put that on the back of our next package. Again, I think it's just a little too much adhesive. There we go. And now we just put our package on here. And now we're ready to put it, slide it right behind the first package. I'm getting big dabs of glue out today. Okay. So there's that one. And then this last one, we're just going to put some adhesive on the back and just slide it right under the second one. And there we go. So we've used some placement and dimension to kind of zip up our S.I.P card. Now, the last one is our little pizza card that I cheated on. And there it is. As you can see, I have 3 of the pizza images and 3 of the pizza slice images. And this card was made using the stamp set Supremely Awesome. Here's the chef with the pizza. And then there are 2 sizes for the slices of pizza and some greetings. This really nice checkered pattern. So anyway, what I did, I stamped my chef and colored him in. I didn't color this pizza because we're going to cover it up. And here are all the pieces inside. And this is the inside panel. And inside I just put happy birthday and put a pizza down there. So that's what we'll do. And there's the pizza. Oops, it slid on me. We'll put this inside the card. There we go. And as you can see, I didn't cheat on this one. I actually cut out the rectangle. Now, what I did was I stamped and cut out some more pizzas. But as you can see, this one is different. And I'll show you what I did. Get all my pizza pieces out of the way. Here is the stamp. And I just wanted this pizza. And I needed the pan it was on. So I just inked up my stamp. Just basically where the pizza is. And I stamped it. And then I inked it up 3 more times because I'm going to put, this is 1 pizza, then 2 and 3, and then I stamped it the 4th time so I could have the pizza for inside. And then I just colored and fussy cut. And for the one with the pan, I made sure to just cut around his hand. And it was easy, but the other 3 were much easier because you're basically just cutting an oval. So we're going to put the pizza on here. We're just, oh, you know what? I did not use, I used dimensionals. So let me get some dimensionals. I think I used the smaller ones, the mini dimensionals. Because again, we are using multiples, but we also want to use a little dimension to give the card a little something extra. So then we're just going to line that up right along his hand. And there you go. Now, for the next pizza, what I did was I put a dimensional, one of the mini ones. Well, if I could get one off. There we go. At the top. Just put it at the top. And then I put just a little teeny dot of glue at the bottom. Because this is already up on dimensionals. So we'll just adhere it, the bottom of the pizza to the top of the one below. And then we have the dimensional on top, and then we're going to do the exact same thing on this next pizza. Dimensional at the top, and then just a little dot of glue on the bottom. Although I may have it upside down, but that's okay. And there we go. You're supremely awesome. But we still need these 3 slices of pizza over here. So I believe I used regular dimensionals on this one. Yep. There's that one. And I'll get 2 more. I have adhesive or something on my hand there. Okay. I am a little discombobbled because, oh my goodness, our garden is doing great. And I've been processing tomatoes. And so far, I have processed over 200 pounds, and I'm working towards 300 pounds, which is great for our cupboard. But oh my goodness, my hands may have a bit of a yellow or orange tint to them. So many tomatoes. And our corn has done really well, so it's been a good year. I cannot complain about the garden at all. So anyway, now we're going to add our second piece of pizza, and I just put one going one direction and one going the other just to add a little bit of interest. And there's our third piece of pizza, and there we go. There's our card. So I know fussy cutting isn't everybody's thing, but you know, when you have stamp sets that don't come with dies, fussy cutting can really give you more options for those stamp sets. And just adding some dimension, putting your focal panel a little off center, which is kind of a surprise. That's another way to add some zip to those SIP cards. Like I said, the placement and the dimension, and then of course color and adding a personal touch. Now all the supply list and measurements for these cards and some assembly instructions can be found on my corresponding blog post, and the link to that blog post will be found in the description of this video. I want to thank you for joining me today, and until next time, stamp happy!